George Conway has been very critical of the Trump administration and even more critical of the Republican lawmakers who have enabled him and his criminal behavior in the White House. Now, George Conway is part of something called the Lincoln Project, and we have shown you some of the ads they've put out against vulnerable Republican senators. And one of their latest ads features Martha McSally, and it's just as brutal as the previous ones. Let's take a look.
Martha McSally, Arizona rejected you in 2018, and you know why. You were too close to Donald Trump, and you lost badly. Now you've gone full Trump again.
Man, you're a liberal hack. I'm not talking to you.
You knew Arizona wanted the truth. We demanded witnesses and evidence in the trial of Donald Trump. Oh, there's a reason your poll numbers are dropping fast, and you're on your way to defeat. Oh, that's right, Martha. Again. Arizona has always produced mavericks, true independents. People like John McCain and Barry Goldwater, senators that served Arizona, people of courage, toughness. They stood for what was right, no matter the political risk. And they are remembered as American heroes. And you, Martha, you'll be remembered as just another Trump hack. If you're remembered at all.
That last part, if you're remembered at all. Like, I want to meet the woman doing the voiceover. Like, she's just doing a voiceover, I don't know what her politics are,
right.
But she's so good at it.
Yeah, Martha McSally, Little Miss Loser. If you're remembered, who's going to visit your tombstone? Like, it's so mean, it's so sassy. I love this woman. She is part of the hashtag resistance, and I mean that in a good way.
So, like, as we've shared with you before, the Lincoln Project is not a group of progressives, right? Which is why the ad is pretty brutal. It's actually a group of never Trumper Republicans who are like, what the hell's happening to our party? Right now, I haven't agreed with their party before Trump, but it's gotten even worse under Trump. And they don't stand for his criminality, which I respect. And they seem to have some principles, which I respect. And look, I've been pretty skeptical of George Conway because, like, how do you deal with the fact that your wife enables Trump and his behavior all the time?
You have to be wealthy enough so that your rooms can be on opposite sides, opposite wings, different wings. Actually, that's just the key to marriage generally. Be rich enough so you never have to see one another.
Look, if my husband, I love my husband a lot. If he were working for Trump, I don't care. You guys can judge me if you think that's wrong. I could not be married to a person who goes on national television and helps cover up Trump's crimes.
Of course not.
It's disgusting.
No one's gonna judge you. I would judge you for not intervening.
Yeah.
Like, there's gotta be some sort of slippery slope there.
And it would be deeply embarrassing too.
Of course.
Especially if I were doing what I'm doing for my job.
It would completely undermine what you do. I'm interested in the Lincoln Project generally.
Yeah.
Because I also am just interested in where Republicans go from here. And I kind of get miffed when I feel like moderate Republicans or former Republicans or whatever, they get so much airtime right now.
Right.
We're always going to Republicans. What do they have to say? And like Anna Navarro's, and I know Michael Steele's not a bad guy, but Michael Steele, like just Nicole Wallace on MSNBC also, like there's just
it's
a lot
cottage industry for sure.
Right, and I'm just really curious on like, well, what's your party? Like, where do they go? Are you gonna start some sort of like Bloomberg-esque, Republicrat third party? Are we gonna, like, I'm very curious.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Look, I think those people are likely to make some sort of weird transition to the Democratic Party, but it's really not that weird when you look at the issues that matter most to moderate Republicans and Democrats, right? And I say Democrats as people who are distinct from progressives, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the Nancy Pelosi's of the world. When push comes to shove on a lot of the issues, they agree, right? When it comes to tax cuts, when it comes to our involvement or intervention in these like wars abroad, in the forever wars that we engage in, like they agree on.
We just
all of
love
those
money
matters.
in the military.
It's true though, it's true. I mean, again, just like really look at the Trump tax cuts and how Democrats in Congress helped pass those tax cuts. So really, they're not that different. Like, so I think that like the Nicole Wallaces of the world, and remember, Nicole Wallace worked for the Bush administration, right?
Exactly, she touts it out pretty frequently, which is always a surprise. I just think that there's a like, it really is a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party, and so long as the Republican Party has no soul, the battleground is only squarely in the Democratic Party. Obviously, ignoring the absurdity of just having two parties under a so-called democracy and a winner-take-all system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like we've been left with the hard job because Republicans are just, amoral dipshits.
Definitely, definitely.
I do love that though. Martha McSally.
If anyone remembers
their daughter
you at
Sally. Ew, Sally's the name of a doll who had her hair pulled out. Sally's the name of the hoe in high school. Like Martha with that eyeliner.
But I wouldn't put it past like Republicans and their attack ads. They're ruthless, and I'm not saying that I want
Republican attack ads. They're like good at them.
They are good at them. I'm not saying that I want the left to put attack ads like that out, but I do want them to be more aggressive in their messaging. And I think they can learn a thing or two from how the Lincoln Project is doing things. I've seen way more effective advertising from a Republican group that's attacking their own than Democrats who should be attacking the Trump administration. It's just, it blows my mind. And
just Tom Steyer sort of like staring into, hello, I'm Tom Steyer, and I think we should impeach the president. Hey Bernie, I just want to say good job. Oh no, okay, you want to dance? Let's do it. Like, it's
okay, good.
Yeah, okay, good. That's so
it's amazing. That authenticity, it speaks to me. I like that he's a little grumpy. Because I'm a little grumpy, and it like
Look
resonates.
At the times that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just talked to a former Florida state rep who says he is all in for Pete Buttigieg because Buttigieg makes him feel warm and fuzzy inside. And I was like, yeah, it's all lies. It feels like lies.
But like,
I don't want to feel fake fuzzy warm.
But I think it's even worse than that with Buttigieg though, because he doesn't even say anything. Like there's nothing that he's saying that could be determined as a lie. Like the only thing that I think he's actually consistently lying about is the reality of racial tensions in the very town that he was the leader of, right? So he lies about that over and over again. But when you listen to him speak, and you really pay close attention to what he's saying or proposing, there's no substance there.
No, right.
It's
really interesting though, the media does not read, and generally when we listen to politicians, like I think American people can read and hear authenticity, and then whenever it gets like reported on, it's like, oh wow, he's really saying great stuff, or he's got the chops of a politician, and it's like, no, because none of it's authentic. Like that's not actually resonating. That's why he's not doing well in the polls, you know? But I do think that even though Sanders, which I know his grumpiness is a turnoff to a lot of people, I think that it's authentic. Even people who hate him are like, listen, the guy's authentic. And even people who hate him say this thing that always is really interesting to me. They're like, well, what can you say? He's gonna fight for it. Like whatever it is, he's gonna fight for Medicare for all. I don't like Medicare for all, but he's gonna fight for it.
Yeah, and I think that there's something appealing about someone who, like a man of his convictions, right? Who actually believes in something and is willing to fight for things when it's unpopular to do so. Like there's something really admirable about that. And I like going through old videos, not just of Bernie Sanders, but candidates like Biden, and kind of understanding where they come from, why they hold the positions that they hold, how much they've changed or haven't changed in the case of Bernie Sanders and the issues that he's been fighting for. And I don't know, I really like to smoke pot and watch old debate videos, or like, I know that's
I've heard this, but I mean, in this post game, that's what you talk about. I think that's good. I think it's so funny how they're two sides of like, the world has turned, right? And like, Biden's on the dark side of the moon at this point, the dark side of Earth, and like, the world has turned to make Bernie Sanders, who's always sort of used to be on the dark side, the unpopular, sort of the radical, the outlier, and now the world's come around, and he's actually very relevant. He's in the sunshine. His votes, I mean, his ideas are super popular among people.
Yes.
Neither has really changed the world's moved on.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because I think like the
country.
The bill of goods being sold to us by moderate Democrats, for lack of a better description, it's been tested and it's failed, right? And so I think Americans, especially young people who aren't buying into like the fear mongering about socialism, are just ready for something radically different, right? And I love that. I love that the socialist fear mongering has not worked.
Yeah.
You know, like, because that's all they had.
Right.
That was all they had, and they keep trying it and it keeps failing, and it's just fascinating to see it. And the only thing that can really screw things up is if the DNC, you know, plays their games.
I mean, that's what I think is really interesting about a lot of the conversations we've had in the last couple of weeks about how, well, you know, either it's the Joe Rogan stuff or a couple, you know, Sanders supporters, some of them online being too harsh or, you know, supposedly trolling, whatever. Like, that stuff's gonna come to light in the general, and that's gonna prevent people from voting for him. And it's like, no, honey, none of that is gonna matter. None of that is gonna matter. You know what's gonna matter? The fact that he like went to Russia in, you know, the 70s or something. I mean, in terms of Bernie Sanders, they're gonna drag out his supposed like, you know, communist roots and the fact that he's a democratic socialist. They're gonna jump on him for that. The right is gonna jump on him for that. So where are the moderates? Where are the liberals? Where are they gonna be?
Yeah.
Are they gonna jump on that as well and say, you're right, he is too radical? Or are they gonna stand up and support him because understanding that actually his ideas are not radical?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, oh, he's unelectable because that other stuff. And it's like, no.
Going back to what we were saying earlier, there's really no fundamental difference between establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats when it comes to the issues that matter.
Yeah.
And I think that what Bernie Sanders represents is a giant threat to the power structure that they've exploited and taken advantage of for so long. And that is a serious threat, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I can't even blame them for feeling threatened or disliking him. Imagine being in that kind of position of power, having that kind of wealth, and seeing a politician like Bernie Sanders rise in the polls the way he has, by saying, I'm coming for you, right? There's something.
I'm coming for your purse strings, even worse.
Yes, exactly. So I understand where they're coming from. I mean, obviously I disagree with them and I'm gonna fight them as hard as I can because I think that we do need to save this country in so many different ways, whether it's the environment, healthcare, just fixing this rigged economic system. But I do like seeing how every time they go after him, he just rises more in the polls.
Right.
Because like the attacks are coming from people who have a history of letting the American people down. And I think that they forgot that.
Yeah, I think it's like a game. I played video games with my brother and like I'm very bad at video games, but it's a little bit of a like, your 2-player game, one player dies because they were playing like an idiot, and the other player like keeps going. And the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, we're like that other player. Well, we got this. We got this. We're gonna get to the boss. We got this. You've had your turn.
Yep.
You've had your turn. It's Luigi's time. Luigi's time to shine.
Yeah, and okay, one final point about that. I was watching this Caitlin Bennett video on YouTube. Do you know what Caitlin Bennett is? She's unintentionally funny. She's like this InfoWars like weirdo who goes to college campuses and she tries to like own the libs.
Oh yes, I have seen her.
But
yes.
She's so unintelligent and unsophisticated that often, and she puts these videos up. She gets dunked on in the videos. The reason why I'm bringing her up is because she went, I don't know which campus she was on. She starts talking to students who actually like describe themselves as communists, which I thought was like, oh, okay, this is fascinating.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God, communism? Like, should we be celebrating that? Like, that's her, response. And these kids were so well read and so like just smart and knowledgeable and knew like what's going on in the country, what they think could, fix some of the problems we're dealing with. And they made Caitlin Bennett look like a clown. I bring that up because like it's just so different from when I went to college, to be honest. Like there were people who were politically active, but that like societal conditioning to be afraid of socialism was very much there.
Yeah.
And so someone like Barack Obama seemed revolutionary at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely a radical, but I was in college and super active, but didn't openly identify as a socialist. And now when you say socialism or I'm a socialist, it's like not that crazy.
Right.
But democratic in front of it and talk about Medicare for all and a Green New Deal and it's done, which I think is great. It's also interesting though, like, that the right always likes to attack higher education and higher learning because they know that actually those are the spaces where people actually learn about American history and the fact that we have the weekend thanks to socialists and like we have all these labor rights. Children don't go to coal mines because of some of the things socialists help to do. And so all that learning about our own history is dangerous. Getting exposed to other ideas is dangerous. So, you know, don't go to college.
Yeah, they would love that.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.